Hi. Today's Friday again and I have not prepared any video because I felt like this week was so long and slow at the same time and I just lost track of the days. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about my life and try to summarize it a little bit, especially for those who don't know me that well. So let's get back a little bit and dive into my life back then. I was born in Cologne, Germany and spent pretty much my entire life there. My family was never that wealthy because my dad was pretty much the only one with any income. He was working full-time at an automobile manufacturing company while my mom was mostly staying home with a little side job as an apartment manager or caretaker for the apartments in our block. My brother, who is 12 years older than me, is a software developer now and is doing a good job, but he was taking a lot of time studying before that, so there was no income yet. Back in Germany, it used to cost a lot of money in order to study, so a lot of our money went into paying off his studies and the apartment that my parents bought back then. The reason why my mother didn't have a full-time job is because she wanted to stay home and take care of everything: shopping, cooking, cleaning, and providing meals for everyone, so they wouldn't have to worry about that when they're busy. The main reason was actually to take care of me, being the youngest in the family, because she had lost her first child back in her home country, Cambodia, during the Civil War. So over the years growing up, I had a hard time living in this particular area. I used to be really good during elementary school. I only had A's and B's as grades and life seemed easier at the time, but that only lasted about 4 years. After that, I got transferred to the gymnasium. I'm not too sure about which words to choose, but that's what it was called in Germany. It's basically high school, I guess. Ever since then, my life went kinda downhill. I barely had any friends, I didn't really get along with anybody, I was the only Asian in the entire school, and people always made fun of me and bullied me. Not only classmates, but even teachers. I always isolated myself, trying to just ignore what's happening around me, not responding to anything that people would say or do. I was always alone and it was a pain to go through all those years like that. Eventually, I found one person who would tolerate me and she was my only friend at the time. It was so painful every time she would skip a day of school due to being sick and I was alone again. When I got close to finishing school, I couldn't take it anymore. My grades got worse with each year, I just couldn't stand going there anymore. Every day was a struggle, so I decided to quit the last year of school, which meant that I wouldn't get my high school diploma, which you get after 12 years of school, I think. Anyway, there are different graduation levels, I guess, and I never achieved the final one. After that, I never even knew what to do with my life. I had no dream job and my attitude wasn't the best after all this. I always thought that wasting my time on a career is not gonna get me anywhere anyway, because we would all die at some point. My parents were obviously not very happy that I just quit school. They thought that my future was in danger because of it. My mom was trying to push me to at least find anything to work as, so eventually I ended up working as a veterinarian nurse or assistant or tech. I'm not sure how exactly you call that in English. I never wanted to study like my brother did because he spent so much time doing that and it was also too expensive for our family. So finally I started my apprenticeship and earned a little bit of money to help our family out. I spent a total of nearly 7 years working, most of the time 6 days a week, 10 plus hours a day. It was a very busy job because emergencies always happened or there were unexpected cases which caused us to be delayed with our patients' appointments and then we would never get out in time. The salary wasn't amazing either, it wasn't even enough to be able to live by yourself, so I stayed with my parents. Unfortunately, the workplace was quite far away and I spent 50 minutes just traveling to work. I started working at 7:30 in the morning and the official end time would be 7 p.m, but it would normally be much longer than that. We had a big lunch break of like 2 hours and I didn't want to stay at work even longer or spend all the money I've earned on takeout food, so I always came home, which is another 50 minutes of traveling, and eating some lunch that my mom would prepare. And then I would travel back to work, another 50 minutes again. So as you can see, not only did I work a lot in general, but I also spent a ton of time every day just traveling back and forth. I didn't have much free time left, I was too tired and exhausted to go out or do anything, which is why I still didn't really have any friends. I did like my job itself. I was surrounded by animals and I felt a lot more connected to them than to people, and we had a lot of variety at work. There are new cases every day. I really enjoyed doing surgery and tooth treatment. I got to take care of wild animals like squirrels, hedgehogs and birds. I was also partly working in our little lab, and I had a certificate to do x-rays in addition to the normal treatment of animals. The only problem was the low salary and the time-consuming work schedule, but I had nothing better to do at the time, so I stick to it. Towards the end of my apprenticeship, I actually met my boyfriend Pendrix online. I was only able to play World of Warcraft during the evenings since I only had about 1 or 2 hours of free time before having to go to bed. I was always interested in video games and being able to chat to people online because they were more willing to talk to me than other people in real life. This was a huge coincidence because I used to play the game with my brother, but back when Mist of Pandaria got released, he quit due to imbalances in the game. We were leveling our characters at the time and a warrior who was 3 levels higher than us came to attack us and we never managed to kill him due to massive amounts of self-healing. My brother said that Blizzard would never adjust this and he would never come back to it ever again. He really did quit and never played again to this day, but I continued because I had nothing better to do. All of his friends who played with us also quit because he quit, and I was left alone in the guild with one more person who was still willing to continue. That one person suggested to apply for a rated battleground group that he saw in the chat, so I did. I got interviewed by Pendrex to see if I was a good fit for the group, and we ended up talking a lot more to each other in general. Fast forward a little bit, we met each other and decided to stick together. He was studying at the time and moved to Germany because he was able to do distance learning and live with me. I was still working full-time at the time. Since studying is very different in Sweden, he actually got some income which helped us to get our own apartment with our money combined, and that's when life got better overall. Eventually, he was done with his studies and wanted to move on to pursuing what he wanted to do all this time, become a level designer for games. Unfortunately, there was no such thing in Germany, so he suggested to move back to Sweden with me. I was willing to do that, so I quit my job, I left my family and everything else behind. Fast forward to 1.5 years ago, he got accepted to the final education to become a level designer, and we had to move to the capital city of Sweden for that, because the school was located here. Now he's about to be done with that and was looking for an internship to finish it all off and find a place to work at. Meanwhile, ever since I moved to Sweden, I tried adjusting and attempted to do some smaller jobs, but they never turned out well for me. I ended up just enjoying some free time after I spent all my days working so much, especially with the money I had saved up over the years to keep sustaining myself. I realized that I really enjoyed streaming and getting to know people with similar interests, who actually cared about me too. I liked being able to talk to people without being bullied, I liked to learn about things in other countries and more. For the first time I actually started feeling like I had friends, which was nice. I also learned a lot about myself because of it, and I think this was really important. After meeting so many people and learning about mental health in general, I realized that I needed to take care of myself. The more time I spent streaming, the worse I felt about work, because I grew up thinking that this is all I have to do in life, but nothing that is enjoyable. Especially after those many jobs I had here, I wasn't enjoying it at all. I learned more about imposter syndrome, I learned about anxieties, depression and other things. I got a bit uncomfortable over time too, having to learn a new language in a new country. I always felt pressured into doing something because my parents expected me to work and earn something. It didn't help that his family also asked questions like, "What do you do then?" or "How's it going with the language?" My anxiety just grew more and more, which is why I haven't worked anymore ever since. Not too long ago I realized that happiness is now my highest priority, not working my ass off until my life ends. I have an amazing partner who is extremely supportive. He's actually the reason I even started streaming in the first place and kind of found something that I actually like doing. So our goal is to just live our lives together, do something that you enjoy. We've come a long way. It wasn't easy for him to get into level design either, since it wasn't a very common job. We've been together for 8 years now and it took this long to get to this stage. He's about to be done with his education and was looking for an internship. This week we got the good news. He was accepted to a company that was willing to take him. Not only did he find a spot, but he also gets to work on his favorite game, Star Citizen Squadron 42. This is actually a dream come true for him. He has been supporting and following the development of this game ever since we met. None of us would have ever thought that he would ever end up there, and it's still very unreal to us. It is official though. He accepted the offer and we will move to the UK because one of their studios is based there. I still would love to continue streaming, maybe find a part-time job as a vet nurse again, which is gonna be a little easier for me over there because I don't have to learn a new language. I will need some time to settle down, get used to a new chapter in our life once more, and find out what makes me feel comfortable enough. I cannot believe that I am close to 30 years old and I never felt like I achieved much in life and it took me this long to figure out what I want: happiness. I only really felt happy since the end of 2019, which isn't a very long time considering my age. I don't know what changed, maybe just the fact that I got to live with my partner without the pressure of other people around me, being able to take care of myself, learn about myself and do what I enjoy. I want to keep it this way. I finally feel like I can start living my life. Every one of you watching this video or supporting me on my streams is contributing to that, seriously. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I wish there were better words to explain how I feel, but I'm really glad to know where I ended up now. For the first time in my life, I'm actually looking forward to the future rather than be scared of it. I'm excited, not frightened for once. It's a small step for others, but it is a damn big step for me. I can't really say I'm proud of myself yet because I still think that I didn't achieve much in my life, which is why I mentioned imposter syndrome, but I think I'm going into the right direction. Stay awesome, guys. Thank you for everything you do to help me stay on that path, and thank you for watching. Bye 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 bye.